Hi everybody and welcome to this DampSmart installation guide. So I'm going to help you to understand how to do a DampSmart installation into a standard 2-bedroom property. So now it's time to get familiar with your DampSmart sensors. Each DampSmart kit comes with 8 of these little sensors included. Now, the front face of the sensor, you will see, has a tiny little circle on it. And that's really important for you to remember because that tiny little circle is what is going to be recording the ambient and all of the moisture and temperatures that are happening within the room. Now, if I turn to the back, you will see that there is a unique reference number. Now, this helps you allocate each tag to each room. So it's important as you place one of these tags into each room that you remember the number on the back of each sensor. Okay, so I'm going to talk you through this beautiful 2-bedroom property that we've got. So this is an older property and it's also a terrace property. So we have a front-facing wall and then we've got an external wall again on the back of the property. But looking at the lounge as a whole, what we need to look for are 3 things. We need to look for heat sources, light sources and water sources. So within this room we do have an absolutely beautiful log burner, but we also have a very big bay window. So these are 2 areas that we would generally avoid putting any sensors whatsoever. The other thing that we need to factor in, and most living rooms have them, is TVs. Even though they're more efficient than they have been in the past, they still do produce some heat. So it is an area, if you can avoid placing a sensor near a TV, that's always a good thing. So, looking around this room, I'm thinking I've got a number of places where I could position them. I've got a mantelpiece here, that it could be a nice place to do it, but again, it's close to the heat source. So we want to avoid those things. But if you know that it's the heat of the summer and that fireplace isn't going to be used, it could be a location that you could do. But as I look around the room, I think the obvious place for me is to have it up and out of the way. So I get my sensor out of my pocket, I make sure that my circle is facing outwards, and I've got this lovely little shelf just here. And all I'm going to do is pop it there. So, because this is a terrace property, what we want to do is we want to measure the temperature of this wall here. So this is the front facing external wall. Again, we've got a radiator here. This is a smaller cottage. So you could place a sticky dot on the circle, and this is the important bit. So we're doing the temperature of the wall. So you place a sticky dot on the sensor, and you could place it down by the skirting board. But because I don't want to do that here, what I'm going to do, circle facing inward on the same shelf, I place it here. So now we have one sensor reading the ambient of the room and we have one sensor reading the surface temperature of the wall. Okay, so I'm on the landing that's coming from the main living room up to the living space. Now, hallways and landings are essential to be measured as part of the DampSmart report, because what happens is where we've got the different levels, we've got moisture levels rising, we've got heat rising, we've got people sleeping in bedrooms, we've got people living downstairs. So this is a really, really key room to measure. So again, get my little DampSmart sensor out, circle in the middle. I've got a nice little shelf here, as simple as this. Circle facing up, it's installed. Okay, so we are now in the master bedroom of this beautiful property. So, looking around the room, we have an old fireplace, but we can tell that that's not being used, so that's not an issue. So instantly I'm thinking, this is going to be my perfect location because it's really central in the room. One thing we do really have to factor in on this property is it's got 2 beautiful bay windows. As you can see, the sun is shining through brightly, so I would massively avoid putting anything on those windows, even though they have that beautiful bench seating that it is quite tempting to put it there. So what I'm thinking, even though we've got 2 bedside tables, Again, you've got a risk of somebody bringing up a glass of water. They could accidentally knock it during the night. So the best place to put the sensor, again, circle facing out, label at the bottom. I'm going to place it just like that, and you're installed. Okay, so now we're in the bathroom, which I think we can all agree is one of the wettest rooms that we have in the property alongside a kitchen. So it's really important that we understand how the moisture from this room is being extracted. You know, are the fans working? Is there proper ventilation? Is there proper heating? Things like that. So this is again where our sensors work their little magic. So we're going to grab the sensor, circle facing out. Remember to note down your number. So you're not going to put it next to a sink because obviously that's a water source. You can on occasion place it on top of a toilet cistern if you're confident that the homeowner or tenant isn't going to accidentally flush it down the loo. But ideally you want to put it out of reach, so you can put it on top of a door frame. But within this one, we've got a shelf above the door frame, which is absolutely perfect for us. So remember, circle facing out. I'm literally going to place it just up there, so it's going to be able to read everything that we need for the bathroom data. Okay, so we're in bedroom 2. As you can see, it's a lot smaller than the master, but it's still got capacity to sleep 2 people. So that's 2 people breathing and living, so moisture is going to be expelled. So what we want to understand is how efficiently is the room coping with 2 people being in it. So looking around the room, we've got a small plant unit. We could place one on the top of there, that would be a great place to put it. Another option would be, I've got a bulkhead storage unit up here, we could put one there. One thing to factor in again is the light source, so we're not going to place it in the windowsill in front of me, but I have got a little unit just next to me, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place that just behind there. Okay, so we're now in the kitchen, second wettest room of a property. So looking around, as you can see, we've got some really nice solid kitchen units, so they don't drop down or anything, so we can put one up there because you don't want them on surfaces because they're going to get in the way if someone's cooking. Obviously we've got a heat source here, so we don't want that directly impacting it. And if we look over this way, obviously we've got the kitchen sink, which has got, again, a lovely beautiful window in front of it. So this area is not where you're going to put a sensor. And again, kettles is something that we need to factor in. You don't want to put a sensor above somewhere where you're going to have lots of steam being generated. Otherwise the report's going to think something's a little bit odd. So we could put one up here, but I think for ease, my last sensor is going to go, remember, little circle, up there. And that's it. So the first few installs you're going to do, you might get things wrong, there may be mistakes. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you've got a question about a location or where you can place a device. Especially in character properties, it can be exceptionally difficult thinking about it. But the more you get used to the kit, the easier this becomes and a quicker an install is. As you can see, this has taken me less than 5 to 10 minutes to get a whole house installed. Obviously we've used a 2-bedroom property using the 8 sensors, but I've actually got 1 sensor remaining, so I could place that somewhere else, but I haven't chosen to because there isn't any specific damp or mould within the property that we're using today. But any questions, pick up the phone and call DampSmart.